Hi everyone, my name's Olivia, and I've decided to do my final project on the Stepford Wives, the 2004 version. My thesis, as of right now, is in order to show that gender roles are not normal in today's society, the Stepford Wives show in a humorous depiction of forcing men and women to return to gender specific marriage duties and how it can be regular for everyone to follow. I'm not sold on this thesis yet. There's a lot to unpack with it, and for everything that would have to go into all of the research and everything that could be found. So, if you guys have any ideas of how to break it down or where it's getting too wordy, I'd really appreciate that. So, why this film? I personally love a lot of the actors and actresses in it. They have been in a lot of other movies that I really enjoy watching. I also noticed how different that Joanna changes her clothing, becoming that wife again, that image of what it should look like was very noticeable throughout the film as she changes over and everyone else. And then another thing that I was going to focus on was the lighting in Stepford, Connecticut, where this whole film takes place in this little town secluded from everywhere else. And I think it's something that really brings the film together and puts a lot of attention on this fairy tale style of a town where nothing goes wrong. And and then also to go on to that, those gender roles in this town, and for all of the wives, their workplace, how they were so successful, and then to focus on their marriage and to go to this town and really go back to that wife that uses the kitchen and dresses a certain way, so clothing I think will be a very big part of my paper. And then also focusing on the mise-en-scène of Joanna, realizing what's going on around her, and through the lighting, through weather, she has a lot of scenes where she realizes what's going on and everything. And that's also something that I want to focus on throughout my research. And then for an overview plan for future research, my plan is to look at reviews of the film from other people's perspective. My plan is to look more at the gender as well of who is making these reviews, to see if there's a difference between male and female, or if there isn't, to focus on that and see if there's any differences or resemblance in those final reviews. And then also the gender roles, in the workplace of films. It's definitely something during this film as well as outside of this film that is a constant topic. I think there's a lot that can be brought to attention and looked into deeper through this research. And then also, I wanted to look to Nicole Kidman and Betty Melder and to see if they had any interviews or anything on their thoughts, their opinions, their perspective of the film, diving into these characters and what brought them to the Stepford Wives to be part of it in the first place. All of that, I really wanted to see if they had any interesting ideas or thoughts to go along with this focus. And then my secondary source, so I found this research study on Australian women's characters in films. And the research was taken for about 10 years, and it was focusing on women's gender roles in filmmaking and how they were used as somewhat as a sidekick to the male figure in the film, and how they were considered a prop as they used in the research, and how they were important for the film to be made, but they weren't, the main character or anything. So how things have changed in the past to now. And then just some questions and concerns for myself moving forward as I work on this. That thesis at the beginning is something that I'm still trying to break down a little bit and to figure out where to go next. Or it could be, enough information moving forward. And then also I'm considering the Stepford Wives 1975 version. I think it would shift the paper a lot to more about comparing and contrasting the two rather than focusing on this gender role specific marriage and workplace idea that I've started with. But if you guys have any ideas on how to maybe combine the two or just focus on one, I'd appreciate that as well. And then just keeping the research specifically to actresses in filmmaking. I know that there's a lot of research done on women in the workforce specifically, but that can really get complicated dealing with, what type of workforce and all of that. So personally, I have to make sure that these articles and such that I'll be reading need to focus on specifically films and those women working in films and how their character is important to the film itself. Okay.